Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, and welcome to what was supposed to have been one of many Thorgyween videos. Unfortunately now it's going to be one of the only Thorgyween videos. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that all week I've been doing spooky video game and movie and comic book spotlights, and that's been great to do, but I wanted to do so much more. This is the curse of Thorgyween. If you guys have been watching this channel since the beginning, then A, thank you. But B, you know that every single Halloween I have multiple videos planned and they never ever get up. The first year I didn't know what I was doing, so I just couldn't get the videos out there in time. Second year, I knew what I was doing, I had a plan, I had a script written out, I had skits planned, I had everything videotaped and recorded, and then we had the moving incident from hell, and I lost like 3 days of my life just trying to fix everything that went wrong when we moved into this apartment. So I didn't get those videos made. And this year, again, I had plans, I had scripts written out, and then I got sick for about 3 weeks straight. I'm fine now. Everything is on the rise, everything's getting better. But yeah, for about 3 weeks, I just couldn't do anything. If you guys saw me at Comic-Con, to those few people who came to Comic-Con and saw me, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You saw how bad I looked. So yeah, sadly, I did not, again, get any of the videos that I wanted to do. And I had plans. I was asking you guys on Twitter to, I was making polls for you guys on Twitter about what you wanted to see me do. And I was going to rent out a basement and have special guest stars come in, and we were going to do like this whole Saw parody. And I just felt like too much crap to be able to do it. Like I just had no energy in me. But at the beginning of the month, I asked you guys to submit spooky Halloween questions to me. And darn it, if there's one Thorgyween video I'm going to make, it's going to be the video that I promised you guys I was going to do. I'm going to finally answer all of those Halloween questions. And joining me today is Michelle.
Hello. Who
you guys have seen her on the channel before. And most of these questions are from me, but I figured, you know what, some of these questions, they're open to anybody, and it'd be nice to get a second opinion on some of those. So join us, won't you, as we embark into the comments section, the scariest thing any YouTuber can confront. Alright, here goes. I do not have a lot of time tonight because I am, as I said, I'm putting out 3 videos a day for the Thorgyween recommendations. So we're just going to get through this as quickly as possible. Consider this lightning round. Alright. Starting off with Delta Prime 350, what is the best horror comic you have ever read and the worst? The best, is, as far as scariest, is going to be Through the Woods, which I just put a video up about a few hours ago for me. And the other best, because I've got 2 that are kind of tied for best, is Lock and Key. I absolutely love Lock and Key, and I have another video coming out about that will be coming out in just a few hours from now. But yeah, I freaking love Lock and Key. It is actually my favorite comic of all time. And as for worst, it's hard to say because there's very few comics I consider to be worst, because it's not like with a movie where if it's terrible, you're still stuck there in experiencing it. And it's not like a video game where you spend so much money on that if you start playing, it's like, well, I gotta keep going, oh god. And like with video games, all the awfulness is barraging you there in the beginning. But with comic books, when I read a bad comic, I'm just like, I'm not gonna keep reading this. I just stop right there. So I'm sure I've read some horror comics that were going to be terrible, but I always kind of just stopped the moment that they just kind of became meh. So yeah, I've never honestly read a bad horror comic, not because they don't exist, but just because I kind of stopped the moment that they start getting meh for me. So I can't really choose one there. Let's see. Big Nate, are you going to finish the Jason series up to Jason X and Cyborg Jason? I don't remember ever saying that I started watching the Jason series.
I don't remember you mentioning that either, but we are gonna do the Saw movie marathon.
We're going to. I've never seen any of the Saw films, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the Saw parody this year. So, and I was at Best Buy, and I saw that they had all 7 Saw films for $8, which lets you know how terrible that franchise is. I was like, you know what, I've never seen any of them. What a better time to watch all of them. So I bought the collection, and I was like, you know, that's what we're going to do. We're going to watch all of them.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to do any kind of a video about it. I don't know if you guys want to see me do a post-geek out reaction for all the Saw films, but yeah, that's the only like horror film that I'm currently like going through. As far as like the Jason films, I saw Jason X and I thought it was garbage. And I watched that and I thought, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to this. Like, I saw it in theaters when it came out because I was like, you know what? I'm looking forward to this because I enjoy dumb, stupid horror movies. This looks dumb and stupid. It looks like it's going to be a blast, and I've had a rough day at school this week. I just need some time to just blow off some steam. So I went to the theater, and I was like, this is not fun stupid. This is stupid stupid. This is insultingly bad. In fact, I'll be totally honest with you, I've never even really been that big a fan of the Jason series to begin with. Like, even the first ones, the original Friday the 13th, which everybody loves, I was like, but that's because I've never been a big fan of slasher films. Like, slasher films never do it for me. There's a lot of things that freak me out, but, you know, just guy with an axe, guy with a machete, just doesn't do it for me. Let's see. Paul DeVries, if you were to pitch a horror movie about a DC Marvel superhero or superhero team, who, what would they be fighting against?
I think that might be who/what.
Yeah, that's okay. I get what you're saying. Okay, what would they be fighting against? Okay, so horror movie about DC Marvel superhero. The easy answer is Blade. That's the easiest one. Blade fighting vampires. But that's been done. So okay, so we can't go with Blade, but you said Marvel or DC. I would go with Constantine Hellblazer because. Here's the thing, we've had the Constantine movie before, and the Constantine movie was actually not bad. It was actually a pretty decent film. It was just a terrible adaptation of that character. Like, there was nothing about that film that matched up with the character from the comics. And then we had the TV series, and the TV series was pretty good, but you can't do Hellblazer on, like, primetime network television. The only television series that you could do Hellblazer as is HBO. So, in all honesty, if I had to pick, like, one character to get a movie, I would say make, like, a very accurate, Hellblazer film adaptation. You know, have him be British, have him just be smoking nonstop, have him just be a junkie, have him just be the worst piece of shit you can imagine, because Constantine is an asshole. Like, when you start writing Constantine, always remember, he's in it for himself. So I would have him be the character that we follow. But as for who he faces, there are so many demons that pop up in Hellblazer for like one story arc and they never come back. So you could really just go with like any demon. The easy answer that I want to go with is the storyline where he was dying of cancer and he actually had to save himself from dying of cancer because he knew if he dies, he's going straight to hell. Like, he's done too many bad things. So he sold his soul to 3 demons at once, and he went, okay, which one of you gets it? And then they all started like looking at each other and it's like, if you guys start fighting over my soul, you're going to tear hell apart. So what do? So basically they were just like, ah, damn it, John Constantine, you beat us. And they cured him of cancer because they were like, now if you die, we go to war over your soul and we destroy hell, so we have to make sure you live now. I was like, that's one of the smartest damn things I've ever read in this series. That was amazing. Only problem is they, again, kind of did that in the film adaptation we've already had of Constantine, so I don't really know who you'd go with. You could also go with Swamp Thing, just do a really up Alan Moore Swamp Thing series adaptation, in which case you go with Arcane. Arcane is the villain you go with, who is like this big rotting meat sorceress guy. He is just a really disturbing creature. He would be a great villain for someone like Guillermo del Toro to take on. Okay. What is your favorite horror writer of all time? Joe Hill for Lock and Key, or Alan Moore for his old Swamp Thing series? Because I think Alan Moore's kind of lost his mind as of right now. But back in the day when he was doing Swamp Thing, that dude was perfect for writing horror. Can you watch Birdemic? That movie is so bad, it's scary. I have watched Birdemic, but we watched it for Riff Tracks Live. so I don't think it actually counts. But it's like, I think I got the gist of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's stupid. It's terribly stupid. Dude, where did you get that shirt from? It's amazing. What shirt am I wearing? In this video, I am wearing the... Oh, I'm wearing the Pokemon Suicide Squad one. There is a website that I go to. I should answer this now because a lot of people have questions about where I get all my shirts from. There's a website called Shirtoid in which it spotlights every single shirt that's on sale from like those 24-hour t-shirt sale websites, which I didn't even know those existed until like 6 months ago. But it's amazing. You can get like all these incredible looking shirts for like $7 a day because they're only on sale for like 24 hours. So Shirtoid just has all those sites on there, and they let you know every single day what are the new shirts that are coming up. But you can go back and look through their catalog of previous shirts, and when you find shirts that were on sale previously, a lot of times they'll still be there on those websites, but for like, $20, which is a little bit pricey for a shirt. Or if they're not still there on those websites and they were only there for like that one day, you can typically find out who the artist is that made that shirt. And then many of those artists have like a Society 6 page, or you can track them down to their own personal stores and their own personal websites, and that's where you can find them. So yeah, if you guys ever want to know where I get my shirts from, most of them are those 24-hour stores, and you can find them all on Shirtoid.
The one you're wearing right now, you got from Loot Box.
I did. I got this one from Loot Crate. It's
Loot Crate, yes.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of that. Let's see. Are you going to do more where to start comic class videos? Yes and no. For anybody who doesn't know, I used to do a show called Geekery 101. I had a whole other channel for it, and a lot of people looked at that channel and went, dude, this is what you're going to be a big success at. This is going to be the big thing. And I fully realized, yeah, they're right, because all I did on there was I went, here is what a storyline is in a comic, here's everything that you need to know, here's where to start on it. Problem is, those videos took so much freaking time to make. Like, I would spend like 3 weeks working on one, and that's if I was working on it in every moment of my free time. Whereas the videos that I make on the Professor Thorgy channel, I can get those up quick, and since most of my popular videos have to do with news stories or comic reviews or talking about a movie that just came out, yeah, I can't really put that one off for 3 weeks, so I had to focus more on Professor Thorgy. But I mentioned this not long ago, because the channel is doing so well, I'm going to be going down to part-time at work so I can focus more on the channel, because that actually is bringing in a decent amount of income. So when I start doing that, when I am able to focus more on the channel, I am going to focus more on making some more of those professional looking videos, and I do want to start up Geekery 101 again and start getting more videos out for that. So yes, I will be doing more of them. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to start them, and they're not going to be really on a schedule just yet. Being a YouTuber kind of stinks, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you've already turned it into a career, that's great. But if you're trying to turn it into a career, that means that you have other obligations out there, and it also means you're still all doing it by yourself, meaning that you do not have like extra resources to help you. Like, so many of the people out there who make good professional looking videos every single week, they've got their own editor. They've got their own like lighting crew in there. It's all me on this. She makes artwork for the channel, and that helps out a ton, but that's it. So it's one of those things where it's like, I would love to be able to make videos like that 2-3 times a week. And if it was just me writing and recording it, I absolutely could do it. But until my channel becomes a success, I can't really run it like a successful channel, is the best way that I'm saying. All right, please tell me that there are some more Halloween ones in here. Okay. Il Tempo 1980, are you excited about the It movie? Oh, have you heard about this?
Oh, there's another It movie?
Well, the original one was made for TV one.
Yeah, that is true.
This is an actual movie.
Right.
So, yeah, I am. Kind of. I'll put that asterisk on there because I was terrified of it when I was a kid. I was like, did you ever see it?
No, but, I pretty much got the gist of it, so...
If you've seen the clips, you've seen the
Yes, pretty much.
But yeah, it scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid. So when I heard it was coming back, I was like, oh man, I'm really excited for this. But then I watched the Nostalgia Critic's review of it, and like his whole thing was, this movie's dumb. Like he was taking it apart, and I was listening to his argument. I was like, oh man, he's kind of got a good point. And
like really, the only thing like actually scary about it is actually Pennywise the clown.
Yeah.
Because a fear of clowns is like a very common fear, like especially like with all the stuff going on in the news with his creepy clowns and shit.
what the is that? What the is this whole clown thing that's going on right now? Did you hear that there was a guy dressing up as Batman and going out there and monitoring the people dressing as clowns?
Yeah,
It's
it's our
like, fight crazy with crazy. That's all you got.
his entire year is a comic book.
But yeah, so, and here's the other thing. I have to admit, when they make the film, I really hope they change the ending, because when I was a kid, the ending scared the hell out of me. But even before I saw that review that like took it apart, even as I got older, I was like, wait a minute, that ending's kind of dumb, because the clown just turned into a giant spider at the end. Mm-hmm. And I always was like, what the, like, again,
Yeah.
as a kid, giant spider, that's terrifying. But as an adult, when I could actually take the film apart by like story structure, I was like, that just came out of nowhere. And Stephen King is a great writer, but he has always had problems with ending his books. In fact, he himself even said, you don't get paid to write a book. You get paid to end the book. So he has always made it very clear that he's like, no. I come up with stories, but if I don't have an ending by the deadline, I just make something up. Mm-hmm. So I am hoping that they come up with something different for the ending of this film. So yeah, I am excited, but I'm going to wait for a trailer, is all I can say.
I just want Tim Curry to come back as Pennywise.
I don't think he could at this point.
Nah, I guess not, but
Who would be a good Pennywise now from like the roster crazy actors we have? Oh god, don't be Johnny Depp. I don't know why that came to mind, but no, don't be. Putting someone in makeup, it's let's see. Oh my goodness, clap emoji. Jonathan, you saw it, didn't you?
yes.
Jonathan Cho, who has been a big supporter of this channel since the beginning, thank you, man. Can you review all the Saw movies?
We were
as
just
well?
talking about that. Yes.
I swear to God, I did not read this before we just talked about that. Like I said, I was going to do a Saw movie skit for Thorgyween. I was going to like rent out a whole room for it, and then at the end I was like, okay, I was too sick to rent it. It's all booked up in time. Maybe I can just like shoot in my closet. Maybe I can like have me talking back and forth with like the little Saw puppet dude. Who knows what I could possibly do. But like I said, I bought all the Saw films because they were like $8, and I was like, why the fudge not? And then I was like, we can find something to do with this, right? But who the fudge is going to want to see me review the Saw movies, and like all of them? Jonathan Cho wants me to review all the Saw. Dude, put your hand up to the screen right now. Put it up there. Put it up there.
Yeah, high five. High five for you,
God.
bro.
Okay. Can you review all the Saw movies as well as The Purge? But please don't make the thumbnail Jigsaw or have any image of Jigsaw. I'll end up my pants. Oh, don't worry. I think I'll be able to tear that film apart without making it too scary. Granted, I've never seen any of them, but they just never seemed appealing to me. But we're about to find out, because now I have to watch them all. Oh my god, that's damn, man. Let's see, Andres Ray. I just read the first sentence of this and I'm excited. Oh, Thorgy, be careful what you ask for. You know you owe us a review of Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, don't you? Oh, yeah. Alright. Okay, you know about Scooby-Doo
Yes.
Apocalypse, right? Okay. I hated that book. I really did. Scooby-Doo Apocalypse is a new comic that is out from DC. They have recently taken all their old Warner Brothers properties that they own, and they've gone, we're going to update these. And there's two that I think are fantastic. The Flintstones right now, that book is amazing. I love it. They've turned the Flintstones into commentary about our modern day culture, which is what the Flintstones were always meant to be. However, they were addressing everything. Like in the most recent issue, they talked about how back in caveman days, there was no such thing as marriage, and everybody just kind of belonged to one big pack of people. And the Flintstones are a married couple, and they just made a huge metaphor for gay marriage. About how like there were all these people like a child deserves 5 men, 5 fathers, and 6 mothers. It's not Adam and Eve. It's Adam and Eve and John and Terry and Jane. And it was like it was weird slogans like that. And I was like, man, this is brilliant what you're doing. And at the end, they actually do have a gay couple pop up. And then like the guy who was in favor of gay marriage, because the guy who was in favor of marriage, someone looks at that and goes, oh, they can't do that. The whole point of marriage is to create more children because our tribe needs more children. They can't create that. And then Fred comes in and goes, let me tell you something. When I was a kid, people in my tribe were dying off. And you know who took care of the kids whose parents no longer were around? It was the people who couldn't have kids on their own. It was people like him. That family over there, they actually helped me when I was coming up. So if you're going to be in favor of marriage, how can you not be in favor of that? I was like, how the fudge is the Flintstones comic one of the bravest books out there right now talking about these social issues? It is an amazing series. And then they've got Future Quest, which is where they take all of their action series heroes. And they put them all into one book and go, okay, here are all the action heroes coming together to save the day. And it's like Johnny Quest, it's like Birdman. And they come up with a really imaginative way of saying, no, they all exist in the same universe. I think they're doing a great job on that. However, Wacky Racelands is total garbage. They took the Wacky Racers and turned it into some Mad Max stuff. And it's just poorly written. The artwork makes it so I can never tell what's going on. And
honestly, that sounds more like a skit for Robot Chicken.
It sounds like, yeah, I was going to say Saturday Night Live, but Robot Chicken, definitely. That's exactly what I thought of. And the guy came into my store when the first issue came out, and he picked it up and he just went, how the hell are they making a dark, serious version of Wacky Racers? It starred 2 cavemen who hit each other in the heads to make their rock car go faster. And I was like, yeah, you're right, this thing. So Wacky Raceland is the worst to me, which also, you can't be dark and brooding and serious and have the word wacky in your title. But I really hated Scooby-Doo Apocalypse as well, because to me Scooby-Doo Apocalypse was 2 things. One, it was taking something that should not be dark and serious and trying to make it dark and serious. But secondly, when they did have jokes in there, I didn't find any of the jokes funny. But also, this is the big one to me. I'm all in favor of updating and modernizing and trying to reinterpret classic characters. However, if you're going to reinterpret them into something that doesn't even resemble the original, then what's the point? And that was the thing that really got me about Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, is that I looked at Daphne just being a total jerk, Fred just being a complete, like, musclehead. Shaggy was semi-close. Shaggy was alright. But then not Daphne, but Velma just being, like, some robot lady. And I was just like, if you literally changed the color schemes of their clothes so they didn't match the color schemes of the characters from the old series and then gave them each names, you would never for a second think that this was Scooby-Doo. Like, just take the dog out of there, you would never for a second think this is Scooby-Doo. It wouldn't match it at all. Take the dog out, change their names, change the color scheme of their outfits. This so does not resemble Scooby-Doo that you are solely just using the name to try and get the nostalgia crowd to read this book. And that stuff drives me nuts. If you're going to come up with an original idea, give it an original title. Don't force this original idea into the bag of some old title. And that's what Scooby-Doo Apocalypse to me really seemed like. At least with Wacky Raceland, I can at least look at the characters and go, yeah, this is dark, brooding versions of the characters from the old series. But with this one, I'm like, no, this doesn't match it at all to me. The only one that matches it is Scooby, and that's it. And kinda Shaggy. But if Shaggy didn't want to eat a lot, even he wouldn't match it. So, yeah, that was my biggest problem with that. Let's see. Freddie Awesome asked, since you live in New York, Halloween must be a lot different for you than someone like me who lives in the South. What is the biggest difference about the way Halloween works in big cities? Also, what are usually the most popular costumes? I can actually answer this question very well because I grew up in the South. It's far more present here. I grew up in a town where, you might see like a pumpkin in someone's store window, and that was about it as far as like decorations go. And also, excuse me, just ate dinner. And also, like, I couldn't trick-or-treat when I was a kid. Like, we had to drive to a neighborhood to trick-or-treat because, like, I just lived too far away from any other houses. But the big difference here is that up here, it's present everywhere. Like, I mean, there's the massive parade that everybody talks about. And I've been to it a couple of years, and it's one of those things that you need to experience once, but you don't need to keep going back to it. The first year that I went, it was so huge and crowded, and I went there by myself. Second year, I was going to go there with a friend of mine from back down south who had just moved up to the city, and I told her, okay, the thing starts at this time, it ends at this time. Go there 2 hours before it ends. Don't go there earlier. That's when I get off work. We'll go down there together, and also the crowd is going to start dying down there. The moment I got off work, I checked my phone, and it was like 10 text messages from her. I decided to go ahead anyways as soon as it starts. Oh God, it's so crowded. I don't know if I can breathe. Oh man, this is too much. Why didn't I listen to you? Like, it was just like the scariest, like, it was like the beginning of a horror film. Like, oh my, like, I'm gonna have to go and like find her found footage camera phone there in the middle of this crowd.
That person wasn't me, by the way, even though I would act like that in like big crowds, but
Yeah, this was... Yeah, if you have any problem with crowds, do not go to the Halloween parade until at least 2 hours before it ends, because that's when people start, like, it starts dying down. But the next year, which was the last year that I went, was with you. And yeah, you saw what I mean. Like, there was a moment in which it got so crowded, we had to dive into like a pizzeria and close the door behind us because like people were crammed. Like, there were people crammed against the walls of stores because they are getting shoved up there because it's just a massive group of people. Like, and we went there kind of late. Like, you can't imagine what it's going to be like when it is at its height.
Yeah, basically Halloween in New York is very similar to New Year's Eve in New York. There's always a big, huge crowd, and you try to, like, avoid the crowd as much as possible while still having fun.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. But, and also, yeah, it's present everywhere. Like, the very first year that I lived in New York, the moment that made me go, this is where I want to live, is I was walking close to Union Square, and it was Halloween, but it was early enough in the day that the sun was still out. And I just saw someone bicycling down the street dressed as a ghost. And I was like, it's like I just walked into Halloween Town. This is great. And even at the parade, which, like I said, the parade itself is a nightmare to deal with, you walk a couple blocks away from the parade, where the crowd disperses out, you just see non-stop people just walking around and chilling in costumes, and that's just great to see. I remember when I was living in North Carolina, I had to drive out to Raleigh-Durham, which was far away from where I was going to school. And that's where the parade was there. And the parade there was a ton of fun, but it was also manageable. So that's kind of the give and take, is that if you go to that parade, it's cool, but it's manageable. Here, the parade is madness, but everywhere else in the city, really cool and really embracing the spirit of Halloween. I almost said New Year's. Miwa Sakata said, what do you fear the most? Planes. I hate spiders. I will say that. Spiders freak me out, but I've gotten to the point where I can deal with it. Planes, you have to dope me up if I'm going to get on a plane. She will attest to this. Yeah, you have seen me on bad planes, but not even really bad ones, just kind of turbulent ones. And just like, that is exactly what I'm like on. Like, who was the guy in Midnight Run? Not Robert De Niro, but the guy who's trying to get across the country. There's the moment when he gets on the plane and the plane's about to go off, and he's like, oh God, no, these things go down. These things go down. And he's like running around, and they had to kick him off the plane. I was like, that's pretty close to me. Like, I have gotten bad on planes before. So yeah, planes probably. But as far as like, when it comes to like horror movies, because what am I going to do? Watch a movie of someone on a plane and start freaking out? No. The thing that freaks me out as far as like horror movies go, the woods, and any situation where you can't run for help. Like, that's always been the thing that freaks me out the most in horror films, is if you set someone in a situation where they just can't get help. That always freaks me out. So the woods has always been a big thing, because, yeah, I grew up in the woods. I know for a fact, if someone tries to break into your house, you're out there by yourself. In fact, when I moved out of my parents' place, which my dad lives way out in the woods, when I eventually moved out of his house to go and get my own place, literally like a month after I moved out, he goes, someone just broke into our house. I wasn't there at the time. They stole a lot of stuff, But just the week before, someone broke into someone's place across the river from us and murdered them when they found them inside, and we think it's the same person. I was like, living in the woods.
You moved out just in time.
Just in time. Wow. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
I just grew up in like your typical like white suburban neighborhood, really. So.
Did you ever get freaked out by films like Halloween and stuff? Like, because in the 80s, that was a big thing.
in the 80s, it was, okay, it could be in your neighborhood.
No, not then again. Mostly my parents didn't like let me watch those kind of scary movies. Also because I wasn't really interested in them.
Yeah.
But the trailer for Chucky freaked me out.
Is that because you had a lot of dolls when you were a kid?
No, but it's because it aired at the same time as the Teddy Ruxpin commercial. So, I'm like, I the trailer. It's like, oh, it's just a movie. Then I saw the Teddy Ruxpin commercial. I was like, oh god, this is not a movie. This is real. These toys can actually come to life and kill me.
I always wondered why kids were so freaked out by Teddy Ruxpin. I think that explains it. Is that what you fear the most?
No.
Do you want to say what you fear the most?
I guess like being in crowded places, being like singled out in a crowded area, I guess.
So kind of like a stage fright kind
Stage
of thing.
fright, yeah.
Yeah, alright. Which I used to have massively bad stage fright, which is weird because I did stand-up comedy for several years. But I would be like freaking out backstage right before I had to go on. I'm a big scaredy baby, people. Let's see. Legendu 991. You are given this is a fun question. You were given a massive budget, like thousands of dollars, like winning a cosplay contest amount of money. What would you dress up with? What would you dress up as for Halloween? Reinhardt. Reinhardt from Overwatch. We went to Comic-Con this year, and I was working there, so I didn't really have time to like interact with people or see much. But there was a whole group of Overwatch cosplayers there, and there was a Reinhardt who was like 10 feet tall. He didn't even stop for photos. There was someone in front of him who was going, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way, because he couldn't stop if he started moving. But I was like, that would be horrible to dress as, but I would love to do it just for like 20 minutes. 20 minutes at a party, just win the costume contest and be done with it. I would never want to dress up as that for like an entire party, because there was an HBO TV series about a detective. I cannot remember what it was called. Like, I want to say like Stranger Than Fiction, maybe something like that. I can't remember, but it started. I started all them. There was an episode where they went to a costume contest. Not costume contest, where they went to a comic book convention. And I was actually an extra in that episode. And I was there on the day of the shoot with tons of other people dressed in costume. And there was one guy there dressed up as like a Fallout guy in like all the big heavy armor. And he passed out because he was just staying there for like 4 hours with all these lights on, and that suit just wore on him, and eventually he just passed out. I don't even know if I'm legally allowed to say that. I just realized, I don't know, I'm going to bleep out any indication of what show that was, because I just realized I might get into trouble if I actually say what show that was, or try to associate it with anyone. Okay. Oh, he's got to read more down here. Hold on. Does he have anything else to say? Also, what's your biggest fear? Okay, we just said that. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you dress up as if you had unlimited cosplay budget?
Oh my gosh, there are like so many characters I want to dress up as.
I knew you would have a way better answer than me.
Gosh, let me see. I guess the main one would be Noodle from Gorillas, because when Phase 1 of Gorillas came out, I cosplayed as Noodle for Halloween. This was still when I was in like middle school or something. So I dressed up as her with her helmet on, everything, when she was still like a little kid. So I kind of like want to go back and revisit that, because she's grown up so much, and it's like I've grown up too. So it's like we kind of both grown up together, and so I want to kind of embrace that again.
So are you saying that you would like have like a big like paper mache head of her or something, or like?
Well, she just has a mask.
Oh, okay, I see. All right. So in other words, yours isn't that hard to do.
No.
Mine, I need unlimited.
Yeah, but like if you want me to have like a more elaborate cosplay thing, I don't know.
All right. Well, if you can think of something, let us know. All right.
So I don't really like prefer like anything like too elaborate, just as long as it's like as long as I can like move around without passing out.
Let's see. I can't pronounce this person's name because it appears to be in Russian, but would you like for an issue where the Justice League faces off against the Universal movie monsters? Yes! That's an easy answer. That would be awesome. I would love that. Wungo Bungo VA Tom. Thoughts on the Silent Hill games? Alright, let's see. I think this is going to be hard for me to say because I never played the first 2 Silent Hill games. Because when I was a kid, big scaredy baby. Still a big scaredy baby, but I actually kind of enjoy kind of getting that rush of fear now. So I didn't start until Silent Hill 3, but I was blown away by it. That was actually the first Let's Play I ever watched was Silent Hill 3 because people kept telling me how good it was, and that was around the time that YouTube was becoming big, and I was like, wait a minute, I can watch other people play these games? And so I started watching, and I was so like immersed in, like so like just not blown away, but engaged. That's the word I was looking for. I was so engaged with it. I was like, dang man, I'm gonna have to overcome those fears and go and check it out. So I checked it out, and the controls were a little bit new to me, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't understand all the lore of it. I later went back and found out and got a whole new appreciation for it. But this was still when I was around like college age, so I'll admit I kind of had a little bit of a crush on Heather in that game. But aside from that, as far as like the actual gameplay goes, it was a really fun, creepy experience. It was one of those first games that really like taught me it's fun to get scared at a game. And the rabbit, holy cow, that rabbit. In fact, everything at that carnival level was just explosive to me. Like everything in that level blew me away. But as far as the Silent Hill games that have come out after that, they've had like some okay things here and there, but I think Downpour was the last one that they did, and that was garbage. It's so sad to see that Konami just stripped away everything that made this game good, and then they gave us that brief glimmer of hope with the PT demo. It upsets me to no end that I got my PlayStation 4 after the PT demo was taken off the store, and that's one of those games I've always wanted to play, but I will never get to experience. But I still get freaked the fudge out whenever I watch Let's Players. I just found a Let's Play like a few days ago of Tamara and Malcolm from the Nostalgia Critic crew. They made a Let's Play video of them playing it. Fell in love with it all over again. Like that's one of those Let's Plays that is so amazing to watch no matter who's playing it because everybody has different reactions to it. As far as my thoughts on the Silent Hill franchise, started out really amazing. Konami destroyed it, and then I will never forgive Konami for giving us such an amazing demo, and then letting their trouble with Kojima just come in the way and just go, nah, we're just gonna destroy this amazing thing that we had planned. Man, I really wish that game had come to me. Okay, folks, I'm going to start running through these a little bit quicker. I'm only going to do from this point forward anything that has to do with Halloween. So no more just general comic book questions, no more just general questions about me.
It's got to be spoopy scary.
Spoopy scary. All right. Biggest fear, best comic. Okay, this is actually kind of quite different. Perry the One-Armed Legend. What would you say is your biggest fear? I've already talked about that. And what is the best comic, movie, game, etc. to encapsulate that fear? Okay. I feel like as far as movies go, Evil Dead. The very first Evil Dead film, I know a lot of people are like, it's kind of cheesy. Dude stuck out there in the cabin, no way of escaping. The woods themselves are the enemy. That's the thing that made me freak out about that, because I watched that when I was living in the woods. Holy cow. I had such an experience watching that first Evil Dead film. It made me love the entire franchise. The Addams Family. Blair Witch. Blair Witch was the other one. My parents were divorced when I was growing up, and my mom lived in the suburbs. and I watched Blair Witch over at her house, and I was like, it's kind of scary, I guess. That weekend when I went over to my dad's house, oh my god, I was terrified because I was right back there in the woods. Just thinking about that film just brought all the fear out of me. So that one did a great job. As far as comics go, I just put up a video yesterday talking about Through the Woods. Granted, very few stories in there actually have to do with the woods, but there's one story in there. It's the very first one that you read. In the video, I mentioned that I can't tell you everything about this book, about this story, because I got too scared writing the script out, describing the story to finish it. That was not a lie. The story is this girl and her sisters are in this cabin way out in the woods. It's been snowing. Their dad went out to go hunting. He disappeared. They're running out of supplies. And one by one, each of her siblings start going out there into the woods looking for the dad. They never come back, or some of their siblings just disappear. And she keeps mentioning that they only have one neighbor that they know of. And there are rumors of this man in a wide-brimmed hat. And she knows that the man in the hat has been taking her family. And like the end of the book is her saying out from this cabin, she's the only one left, and she goes out into the woods, and she just treks through the woods, finds their neighbor's cabin, and then the door opens, and I can't remember the exact line, but you just see her looking into the door, and then she goes, they were right about his hat, and then they see a hand come out and put the hat on top of her head, and she goes, but they were wrong about one thing. He is no man. And that just, oh my god, that just destroyed me when I read that. The book also ends with the story about going out into the woods. So yeah, everything in Through the Woods did an amazing job with that. And as far as a game that encapsulated my fear of being out there in the woods, not a lot of games are really set out in the woods. Yeah, I can't really think of one that really matches that.
Yeah, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
you're right. It's mostly like an abandoned house or
Yeah.
something like that.
Because
or-
don't get me wrong, I've been terrified of numerous games. Resident Evil 4 to me probably gave me the most chills I've ever had. But that was of like a small European country.
Then again, I guess would Until Dawn count?
We have yet to actually.
Yes, it's like we're gonna
play that one
so-
together, which I'm going to try and stream that on Twitch. I have just recently learned how to stream on Twitch. I'm going to test it out with Until Dawn. I'll let you guys know when I start doing that. Which John Carpenter's Halloween movies, beside the remakes, do you like the most, and which of them do you like the least? For me, Halloween 4 is my favorite, and Halloween Resurrection I hate. Man, you said John Carpenter's because I was about to say Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Just simply because it was so unique and original. I really dug that was different. In fact, for anybody who doesn't know, the original premise of the Halloween films they were supposed to be anthologies. And every single one was supposed to come out at Halloween, but it was about something different. However, because the first one was such a success, the producers said, you're not doing that. You have to bring Michael Myers back one more time. So they're like, all right, we'll do that. And then after that, they're like, now we're going to go into the anthologies. And then the third one came out with no Michael Myers, and everybody's like, where's Michael Myers? The ironic thing is, Part 3 did not do that well at the box office, so they're like, well, we gotta bring Michael Myers back for Part 4, no more of this anthology crap. He came back for Part 4, it did exactly as much money as Part 3 did. Bringing Michael Myers back and destroying the idea of it being an anthology did not bring in more money, and that kills me. I honestly, truly do believe that the idea of a Halloween anthology series would be amazing. We ain't getting that, though. Honestly, number one. Number one to me still holds up.
So I was wondering, if they didn't do the sequels, do you think it would have been the
So if they didn't do Part 2, and Part 2 was Season of the Witch,
yeah.
totally. Because I think that people went to see Part 3, and I was like, when's Michael Myers gonna show up? Oh, never mind. And that actually might be why Part 4 didn't even do that well, because they were like, oh yeah, I don't even know what this franchise is anymore at this point. Yeah, I honestly do believe that if Part 2 had come out and it was just called Halloween Season of the Witch, I think people would have been way more open to the idea of it being an anthology, rather than expecting it to be Michael Myers over and over again. I haven't seen that many of them, because it's kind of like with a bad horror comic that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. When it gets to that point where I'm like, this is getting bad, I just kind of tuned out. So I did not see... So Halloween 1 is definitely my favorite, but I can't really pick a least. Oh no, I can. Halloween H2O. I forgot I saw that. I erased it from my memories. Whew, that was it Coolio or was it Busta Rhymes in that one? I can't remember. It was a long time ago that I saw it, but it was one of like those first films that I remember seeing in my teenage years, in which I was like, oh, movies can be bad. I get it. Because when you're a kid, all movies are wonderful. But eventually when you're in your teenager years, that's when you start going, now I see what garbage is. So yeah, that's an awful one. Okay, Comic Book Robot asked, who is the scariest villain in comics? I'm gonna go with Arcane. I mentioned him earlier in Swamp Thing. That dude, read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. He does the most disturbing, messed up stuff with that guy, and it's a lot like body horror stuff, and that's something else that really freaks me out. I haven't mentioned that before, but that feeling of just being twisted and turned into something that's not you, and you have no control of it, he does that a lot. And just the design of him, he is just like rotting meat that walks as a big hulking brute. It's really, that villain is really disturbing to me, so he's always gotten me. Let's see. What's your favorite horror movie? He gave us his top 3. This is Andrew Warren, by the way. My top 3 would be Original Nightmare on Elm Street, The Shining, and The Thing. All very good suggestions. I love The Thing, love The Shining. Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm not as big on as everyone else, but I do definitely think it's a great idea. My favorite has got to be... My favorite's honestly going to be Evil Dead 2. And that's not the scariest one to me, but it's one that's the most entertaining. Like, I get the most joy out of watching that one, and a lot of it's nostalgia, but a lot of it is just that it combines, like, my fear of the woods with, like, goofy slapstick, and Bruce Campbell is just so damn charming in that film. And every single Halloween, I actually watch that movie with director commentary on, because the director commentary on Evil Dead 2 is basically a Mystery Science Theater 3000 riff tracks for it, because even the director, the writer, the producer, and Bruce Campbell himself are like, no, this film is goofy and stupid as and they all just sit there laughing and pointing out all the flaws, and it's amazing to watch. Like I said, I watch that every single Halloween, and last year we had no place to live on Halloween. We were stuck in a hotel room, and so much of our stuff was still left in our old apartment. So much of it was in this new apartment that we couldn't come visit yet, and so much of it was just lost in limbo. But you had your PC, which had a DVD player on it. I had the DVD for it, but your DVD player would not work. Mm-hmm. And we spent like an hour trying to figure out how to fix the DVD player, because we had been through so much crap trying to get all of our stuff moved out of our old apartment that was like, no. This isn't going to ruin Halloween. This is the one thing I do every single Halloween. We are not going to let this ruin that. And sure enough, we got it fixed, and we were able to watch it with director commentary. Like, the tradition lives on. Let's see. What's your favorite horror movie?
I think it had to be like Hellraiser.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was not expecting that answer.
Yeah, it's just like there's basically like 3 kinds of like scary movies. There's like the slasher, there's the psychological, and then there's the supernatural. And I feel like that movie like combines all 3 of those elements very well.
That's actually true. And Hellraiser is one of those horror films that for years I was like, this is gonna be dumb. I'm not gonna enjoy this. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, that was a damn good horror film. Nathan Leon. Sorry, I don't know. Nathan Leon. I'm gonna say Leon. Can you review a good werewolf comic, please? Moonshine. It just started up. I really dug the hell out of that first issue. It is basically set in the 1920s, and it is all about this bootlegger up in New York City who's working for a big crime boss, and they discover some guy out in the Appalachian Mountains is creating the best moonshine you've ever had, and he sends him down there to go and basically convince him to make moonshine just for him. He gets down there, discovers they're all werewolves. Go and check it out. First issue has just come out. I really enjoyed it. Let's see. Which is better, Nightmare Before Christmas or Coraline? I actually like Coraline more. I gotta admit, I love the visuals of Nightmare Before Christmas, but when I was a kid and I watched it, I was like, this was not what I was hoping it to be. Like, I enjoy it. I think it's good. But Coraline, I was like, this is a damn good film.
What were you expecting from Nightmare Before Christmas?
I was expecting it to be a little bit more
Scary.
nightmarish, I guess. Like, because to me, it's like it's just too much of. To me, I just have a problem with Jack Skellington himself, with Jack and Sally, because honestly, to me, it's like, okay, you don't want to be the Pumpkin King anymore, and that's all there is to him. Like, I never really got much of a feeling beyond him, and Sally is in love with Jack, but I never got any chemistry from them. And also, it was like, the second that the movie begins, Jack is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, so that like at the end of the film, when he comes in and he's being the badass and he's stopping Oogie Boogie, I was like, I haven't seen any of this throughout this film. Like, we saw you put on a really good presentation in the beginning, but in the end, when you come in and you're just the big hero of the day and you reveal it's like, yes, I am Jack Skellington, I was like, I've gotten really no feeling of that from you. Your entire character throughout this film has been, I don't want to be this guy anymore. I was like, you know, there's a lot of films about the guy who wants to get out of the business, but you typically see how good they are at the business before it. And in this, we just got like a dance number in the beginning, and that was it. So basically, it was like, I really just wanted more personality to Jack. I really just wanted more, just to see him in action more, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like to me, honestly, Nightmare Before Christmas almost feels like it should be a sequel to a film about Halloween Town. Like, the first one is all about Halloween Town and the exploration of all of these, you know, monsters and creatures, and we see how good Jack Skellington is at what he does, and like, then the second one's like, yeah, it's just the same as last year.
Well, you can always play the video games.
No, I'm good. What about you? Because you love both those films.
Yes, I do. It's just, I'm just very nostalgic for Nightmare Before Christmas, and also it was like the very first stop-motion animated movie, so it really did pave the way for Coraline and everything. And so it just has a... Also, I've never seen a movie like that before, so it's like, wow, this is so cool. So, like, it really, like, awakened, like, something in me, kind of.
Okay, I can see that. Let's see. Emerald Dragon, how old were you when you stopped trick-or-treating? I was old. Like, I think 12, I think was how old I was. Like, I got to that point in which... And I was big for my age as a kid, so it was just sad.
Yeah, it's always sad when you have to outgrow trick-or-treating.
Yeah. What about you? Do you remember?
I don't know exactly. I think maybe around the same age.
Okay, so we hung in there. All right. Someone else is asking about the shirt. Just gave an answer to that. All right. If Scarily Bad counts, how about one of the live-action... Oh, you want me to review the live-action Casper film? I remember thinking it was okay. Like, I, to this day, am like, it's, you know, it's not terrible, but it's not good. It's got Brad Garrett into it, and I can't hate anything with Brad Garrett in it.
I hate saying this, but I actually cried at the first Casper movie.
Well, you were like, what, 8? Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, it's like he was human for a moment, and then he turned back into a ghost, and that's what made me so sad.
Let's see. Oh, this is a weird one. From Hugh. Halloween questions. Okay, who would win in a fight between Zombie Hulk or Zombie Superman? Well, with Hulk, hungrier he gets, stronger he gets. So, man, it's one of those weird things where it's like, oh, God. Well, no, actually, it would have to be Hulk, because Superman gets all of his powers from the yellow rays of the sun hitting the cells of his body, but the cells of his body are dying, he loses his powers, whereas Hulk is with gamma radiation, and the gamma radiation can still infect his cells, even if they are dying. So, yeah, Superman would actually be super weak as a zombie. So, there.
Hulk will, like, literally smash him into a dust.
Yeah, he would eat him. Let's see. Who is the scariest Batman villain from TV? Joker is such an easy answer. Mm-hmm. Mr. Zsasz is one of those guys who I think is creepy, but I think he's... When you look at like the other guys that Batman faces, I'm always just like, you would be creepy going up against a normal human, but Batman can just beat the crap out of you. Man, I really want to say Joker, but it's like, that just feels too easy.
What about Scarecrow?
Scarecrow I feel is cheating because it's like, yeah, it's his powers. His powers are fear. So it's like, so I'm trying to think like who would be scary on their own. I gotta go with Joker, man. It's an easy answer, but it's the correct one. I mean, we talked about this earlier. Clowns are fucking scary.
Also, he's like literally Batman's like arch rival, like through and through, no matter what.
He's a guy who will keep coming back. Let's see. It would be cool if you dressed as Ash for an episode with or without the chainsaw hand, but preferably with. I actually, at my first Halloween party in college, actually dressed up as Ash and had the chainsaw hand on. So I am not afraid to do that. I will remember it for next year, because as I said, Thorgyween this year was destroyed. So, okay. Let's see. Tobias Toms. One thing I think would be interesting is you trying to give well-known characters a more horror spin, like Superman turning out to be the carrier of a parasite that wants to infect all of humanity. That is intriguing.
Yes, that is way more interesting than making everybody grim dark, which seems to be the thing going on.
Yeah, that's
in
the
movies.
thing. Like, you want to make somebody, like, you want to do like a dark, scary take on something, be fucking creative with it.
Yes.
That's a pretty creative idea. Gotta give it to you. A question for the Q&A would be if you ever had anything happen to you that could be turned into a nice horror story. I grew up in a giant, like, 3-story house with, like, no one around for, like, 3 miles. It's, like, one of those houses that was in my family for generations. And it was just a giant, empty house way out in the middle of the woods, which, as I said, that's where my fear of the woods came, because it's, like, I realized at an early age, no one's there to help you. Nothing scary ever happened there, but I was constantly, like, scared out of my mind living in that house. Like, I lived on the 2nd floor, and you would have to turn the lights out everywhere else in the house before you go up there to your room, and just walking up there was terrifying. But nothing ever actually happened. Like, I never really had a paranormal experience, nothing like that. What about you?
No, not really.
Let's see. Watch Sinister, please, from TB. I know you already asked something, but I'm going to go ahead and say I love the hell out of Sinister. Haven't seen Sinister 2 because everyone tells me it's garbage. Even the writer of it himself was like, I wasn't really caring about this one. The first Sinister, though, I think is one of the best horror films in the past 5 years. That film blew me away. Let's see. Oh, this one makes me sad because in this video, I also promised that I was going to do post-geek out reactions for all the horror films we watched for the 31 days of horror movies, and I was too sick to do them. I'm sorry, man. I hate that I couldn't do that because I was looking forward to it so much. Let's see. Tevya Smolka, question number 1. What got you into Halloween and what is your favorite horror movie to watch on Halloween? I've already answered that second part, but the first part is just, I grew up as a really imaginative kid, kind of growing up in a town where, like, I'm not going to say, like, imagination was discouraged. My parents certainly encouraged me embracing my imagination, but, like, the rest of the town was kind of like, eh. The rest of the town was a very, like, we're simple people, we live simple lives, and that's how we like it. So my parents always encouraged me to be imaginative and creative. And, yeah, I think that's what it was, is that when you're an imaginative kid growing up in a place and a town and a city that doesn't really get you or speak to you, you kind of look out for really big, crazy stuff. And so even though I was a scary cat as a kid, I still love the idea of monsters. And so then when we have this holiday, you get to dress up as a monster and you get to, like, see monster movies on TV, and, like, basically everybody is embracing it. It was like, this is the one day of the year where I can just be as crazy and imaginative as I want. So I think that's where it came from. Hey. What is your opinion on the Hellraiser stories to read for Halloween? I never read any of the Hellraiser books, but as far as the movies go, we already talked about it.
Yes, we like them.
We actually do like them.
I should check out the book sometime.
Yeah. Oh, she has given me
Way
multiple
more
questions.
Yeah, there's always that read more. You gotta.
Yeah. I think it's a she. I think Tevya is a she. All right. What is your opinion on the BioShock series versus the Dead Space? Because frankly, in my opinion, I feel that BioShock series, all 3 games, are great horror-themed games, just like Dead Space 1 and 2 were great horror games to play on Halloween, in my opinion. Unfortunately, Dead Space 3, when you are just speaking my language, I love Dead Space more than BioShock. Dead Space is one of my favorite horror game franchises of all time, But 3, I still have not beat 3 because I was just like, this is not what I signed up for. The Bioshock games nail it all throughout. Although I don't think the third one is so much horror as it is just freaky experiences and suspenseful. Like, the first one is flat out horror. Third one, suspense and tension, which are like they're neighbors to each other. Those two genres live right across the street from each other. But yeah, so I'm totally in agreement with you. Love all of them. Dead Space, though, that's my favorite. Final question: do you feel that the horror genre is dying out thanks to stupid bad horror games, horror movies, and horror comics not being really good like they used to be back in the day? Because reply back when you get these questions. Thank you. I hope. Okay. I just want to say, yeah, I got something to say about that. The idea that the horror genre is dying out because there are so many bad horror movies, or bad horror games, etc., that is not true at all. We just only remember the good horror movies of the past. There were shitty horror films coming out since the dawn of horror films. Like, there have always been just god-awful horror films out there. People forget them, though.
Also, I feel like horror will never die because people will always be seeking that thrill.
Yeah, absolutely. People will always be. They might turn to different means, though. Mm-hmm. Like, the internet has awakened an entire new, genre of horror, basically. Like, an entire new world of horror series, like with the creepypastas and such. And a lot of those things can't be adapted to films. Like, I don't even know how you could do a Slender Man movie. Like, the biggest appeal of Slender Man is just looking at one picture of a guy standing way far in the background at a playground. But yeah, so horror is going to continue to adapt, but the idea of horror movies actually dying off because there's so many bad ones, there have been, throughout my entire life, I have always said, we only get like 3 good horror films a year, max. And honestly, over the past couple of years, I've seen tons of amazing horror films. Just speaking of, as far as ones that go in recent history, The Witch, which just came out not long ago, like came out this year, blown away by that. I love The Witch.
That was a really good movie.
It Follows, that just came out last year, and it's already in like my top 10 favorite horror films of all time. Sinister I mentioned recently. So yeah, there are The Conjuring. Man, that's just a haunted house movie. One of the best haunted house movies I've seen. Loved it. So there will always be good horror movies. There will always be bad ones. And the bad ones will definitely always outnumber the good ones, but you're not going to think back on them. So yeah, don't worry. Horror's doing just fine. This one comes from Joshua M. Doherty. Doherty? I'm terrible at pronouncing names. I'm sorry, folks. So for Thorgyween, how about this? Another YouTuber, Movie Bob, who I am aware of and am a big fan of, has suggested that Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sorry, I thought my camera just blinked out for a second and scared the crap out of me. We are down to like that much battery life, people. Alright. Has suggested that the Marvel Cinematic Universe success is in no small part to adapt and assimilate various different genres into the same cinematic universe. So, since we haven't seen a true Marvel horror film from the MCU proper, and no, I'm not counting Blade, what would you go to pick for a horror... what would be your go-to pick for a Marvel horror film and why? I saw that video. It was a very good video. A Marvel horror comic being adapted into a film. The problem is Marvel wants all their movies to be huge, and horror thing needs to be more isolated. So I would honestly go with Man-Thing. Sorry. Ugh. The thought of Man-Thing just made me burp a little bit. But I would go with him because I hate kind of like egging on the whole Marvel versus DC debate because I want everything to be good, I want everybody to like each other, and I want everything to succeed. But we do know that DC has their DC Dark movie coming out, which is going to be all their darker magical characters, which means Swamp Thing has to show up. So if Marvel wanted to beat them to the punch, they could put out Man-Thing, which is basically the same guy. But the main reason why I would suggest that is because it's simple. We all know the story of Person goes into the woods, finds a monster there. The rest writes itself. Man-Thing is a monster with kind of a weird origin to it. He actually is the guardian of the nexus of all realities, so you could then tie that into Doctor Strange. Also, I forget her name, but there was a sorceress who was like his main female supporting character, and you could actually make her the protagonist and have her like slowly discovering magic, and she then goes into the woods and discovers the Man-Thing, and that would actually work to me because the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs way more movies that star women in the lead roles, so that would be a good answer to that. But also, she's learning magic, so again, you could tie it into the whole mystical side of their universe that they're trying to build with Doctor Strange. And also, just as I said, I'm creeped out by the woods, man. And the swamps are just the woods plus water. So, yeah, that would work for me. Okay, so that was it. Pretty much every other question that I got asked on Tumblr or on Twitter, I've already answered from YouTube, and the battery on both my laptop and my camera are dying. So, that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Again, I'm so sorry that we could not do more for Thorgyween. Who knows? I actually wrote out and recorded a comic class Thorgyween episode in which I talk about comic book monsters. I wanted to do the whole Saw thing, and we got a requested review for it. I might just say screw it, it's my channel, I can do what I want, and I just continue celebrating this for another week. Who knows what we do?
Yeah, it's not the first time someone's done that, so...
Hell, my final Halloween video last year came out on November 1st, so it's not like this isn't unusual for me. Although sadly I still had 2 more videos planned after that I had recorded the audio for and just didn't get to do. But anyway, that's for another day. So maybe, fingers crossed, I'm going to be able to get some more out there. But I thank you guys for supporting us. I'm sorry that I seem so fragile right now, but I've spent the last every free moment that I have had for the past couple days working on those Thorgyween videos that have been able to come out. But again, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And from both of us here, for maybe the last time this year, happy Halloween. Bye.